All right, so take two. Take two of the live broadcast. We'll watch back on the back channel. I've just sent them the YouTube link, and there should be a new video posted up in Blackboard. Thank you guys for bearing with us. This is the rule of thumb when you work with technology is it's going to fail at some point, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to model being flexible. So I appreciate your patience, and I do want to wait just a second though to make sure that we've addressed the audio issues. So I'm gonna kind of just stall a minute until I see on the back channel. And I see from Jason's stuff that they say that they're ready to rock. I don't know if that means they can hear us or not. But we will see. Yay! It says sounds great. So let's go ahead and dive back in. So since you guys missed the whole first part of this, I'll quickly introduce yourself, team leads.
Okay, I'm Meg Higginbotham-Schuessler, and I'm the team lead for Team Connectors.
Great.
I'm Denise Kuntz, and I'm the team lead for the Innovators. And Meg and I graduate Saturday. Have to give that shout out.
Yes, yes, definitely don't want to miss that part.
Nope.
Okay, so I wanted to jump right in because Hazel had a question, Denise from your team, Hazel, and also Candy Atkinson from Team Ignite had a question about the Blackboard course and how long you guys would have access to it. So I want to jump right in and address that. So the good news is you will have access to log into the Blackboard course until September 1st, but it does have to close at that point. But the better news is that your team leads and I have compiled a cheat sheet for you, and actually you're also part of compiling this cheat sheet because you have edit access to this shared Google spreadsheet. And you'll see here at the bottom that there's several tabs. And so if you, from the Welcome tab, if you click over on the Apps tab, you'll see a list of compiled apps that folks have come across in the course and even some comments about what they use it for. You'll see some websites and tools that you've come across in the course. Here's the thing, if you don't see a tool that you really found some value in, please add it to the list because again, this is a collaborative document. We want the entire group of participants to add to it. The next tab is course content links. So this is where I was saying you will have access to all of the SoftChalk lessons, so that will be yours forever to keep, as well as some links, for instance, to our YouTube channels. Our team leads will add some more content there for you from the course from the Google Plus community. So this tab will help keep you connected to that course content that's been so fast and furious so that you'll have some time to digest it. And then this last tab I think we're the most excited about. Denise and Meg and I were talking before the broadcast what a neat idea this is. So this is building your personal learning network, which you're actually learning about in week 5 right now, and this is so critical to your success in using technology in the classroom. And so you can come to this tab and you can add in your first name, your last name, your subject, your grade level, the best way to contact you, maybe your Twitter handle. And then maybe right here sort of what you're interested in connecting about. So maybe you're interested in connecting with, to learn more about Erasmus, or you're interested in connecting your 4th grade classroom to another 4th grade classroom for some curriculum alignment type stuff. Or even, you know, vertical alignment where you're connecting to, I think Denise and Meg were talking about connecting their 2 classrooms this coming semester. So those types of connections are what helps you build that personal learning network and really just become a better educator, not only with technology, but with just better teaching strategies in general, so learning from one another. So we are excited about this resource cheat sheet, and I'll be tweeting the URL out again. I've tweeted it twice now, but I'll also maybe put it in the final email that I send to you guys so that you can have this resource forever. So we do hope that you're going to continue to learn from this experience long after the course is over. All right, so I went through that pretty quickly. How are we doing on the back channel? Looking good? I'm sorry, I forgot to say hello to all of you on the back channel, and I did say hello the first go-around, but I am glad to have you guys joining in, and thanks for giving us a heads up about the poor audio, and I'm glad things are back up and going. Let's see. Let's dive into some of the questions that were posed last week, and I'll just kind of go in let's see. This is just a general sort of tech question since I'm already in screen share that I can show you guys related to the Lino board. So let me pull that up. So you guys remember this Lino board from the beginning, the week 1 of the course. And I had some comments from folks that they, for some stickies they couldn't see things. So I wanted to highlight a few things, a few tips for seeing everything. So one thing you can do if you're on a PC is you can, on your keyboard, you can hit Control- and actually zoom out and then you can scroll down to see stickies that maybe look like they're off the screen, but they're really not. It's just that your resolution isn't seeing it the way that it should. So Control- and Control+ can help you, even if you need to like zoom in to see small text, you can zoom in. So that's one tip there. Another tip is this Highlight New feature. So if you click on Highlight New, it's going to show you sticky by sticky what's new, and you can click through and use that. And I've heard from my team leads that they use that for grading purposes to be able to see every sticky. So it does get a little bit overwhelming when you have this many people on one team posting to one Lino board, and that's why I created those overflow boards. But if you're trying to use it in class, I would say use these strategies, and then, yeah, do create an overflow board just in case it fills up. If you create the board, you have control over stickies. So because I created this board, I can move stickies, whereas you guys, as consumers of it, couldn't. So just some tips, and that was to answer Veronica Beringen's question from Team Ignite about the Lino board. So great question, Veronica. Let's move on to a great question from Jace. And Denise, I think you had some ideas for addressing this question, but it's kind of comical actually. So it says, when you're using collaborative websites such as Google Documents or spreadsheets, how can you ensure that there will not be delete wars targeting what other students are trying to accomplish? I know that you can retrieve the info from previous saves. I'm looking more towards the mischievous side of online collaboration. And we really thought this was a good one to address because they actually had some of this happen in their own group project this past week, and it wasn't intentional, but it was frustrating nonetheless. So
Sure.
What tips do you guys have for Jace?
Well, I think Meg and I could both chime in on this. We all love Google Docs, and it's such an awesome, meeting place, and we all talk about the great things about it. But if you don't really know how to use all the features, you can cause some problems for your teammates. And so it's not just at the school level; it can also be, at the college or the graduate level. I think because even adults can be mischievous without even meaning to. I think if a student is deleting or changing in a way that's meant to adversely affect a grade, those are protocols that should be put into place as anything is in the regular classroom. I think the good thing is you can track that behavior, and Dr. Baker had actually had a really good idea. It could be that you divide a team project into smaller chunks and you assign the document to team leads, kind of like we've done in this class. 1 or 2 people do their own work, and then one person goes in and collectively copies and pastes all that work to one document so that everybody does not have the editing rights. But I would hope that we would be able to teach our kids not to do that. I think there should be a swift consequence if we are deleting someone's work, and I think we need to include in that discussion what plagiarism is, and making sure that kids understand that whether you're claiming someone's work as your own or you're stealing someone's work, that really should all go under the same category. So I guess it would just make sure that they understand the protocol, make sure they understand the share rights, and if you continue to have problems, how would you deal with any other issue in your classroom? Meg, what do you think?
I've actually used Google Docs with my students, and so what I've done in the past is one student to get the key phrase, one student to look for the website that would coincide with the key phrase, and then the other one would write the summary. And so as a team, they switched up. And so they only really had one section, but they had to work together because it was the same topic. So that's how I got 7th graders to do it. So
Hey, if you can get 7th graders to do it, then you can do anything.
that was how I got them to do that. So
Yeah.
I think
I used a collaborative doc with my kids this last year in science, and they had to have their own colored ink on the document, and they were not allowed to. If they edited, they had to use their colored ink. I mean, they had to show within the document, so I wasn't the only person that could see the change. In 5th grade, color communicates, and so, you know, you can just use simple little things like that, but they had to show where they had changed. So in other words, if they deleted something or whatever, they had to actually put that in the document in their own ink and show why they did it. And they were very respectful of each other's work. So
that's really a great idea too. Yeah, I was going to say too, you know, not only breaking up the assignment into smaller chunks, but really having, instead of having an entire class work on one collaborative document, kind of like we're doing with the resource cheat sheet, which it could get ugly if people go in and start deleting. But I can always revert in the revision history back. But you know, instead of doing that, really breaking them into smaller groups of students, maybe at the most 4, and then they hold each other accountable a little bit more because, hey, dude, you just messed up our whole paper here.
Right.
So just some you know, depending on what grade you teach, just different suggestions for policing that a little bit. But I think Meg and Denise are really right on when they say set up expectations in the beginning. And really scaffold how things work, because sometimes it's not intentional. Sometimes they accidentally do it, and then team members, you know, that can cause mischief.
Yeah.
All right, so great question, Jace, and we're moving on to Hannah Parsley from the Innovators had a question about any apps that we've all learned about or experimented with because of recommendations in this course. And I know you guys said you've tried some, and I actually, same thing. Like, I hadn't used Telegami until last week, and I actually did it in a 30-minute car ride from Stephenville to Glen Rose. And was able to just quickly create a little video for my son about rainbows, where the avatar's just explaining it. And it was just a really fun experience. And so I was telling Denise and Meg that I learned just as much from you guys as you learned from me. So I do appreciate all the resources that you guys have posted. But are there any apps, Denise or Meg, that you guys are trying or thinking about trying because of the course?
I snagged one from my team, Kahoot. This one's something that you can do it on the computer. You can do this on their phones. It's got a 4-colored button. You can there are lessons that are already done. You can create your own. Students don't need an account to sign in. And I stole that from the Connectors team, and it made it to my Symbaloo page.
yeah,
Oh, very cool.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking on the cheat sheet, and I don't see it under apps, so maybe something we could add to the list, right?
It's going to be there.
Cool.
Yeah, we started using Kahoot this last year for our science department, and let me give you just a quick idea for if it's okay if I can share a way to use it.
Yeah.
Take your standards, divide them up between your department, and have them create questions for Kahoots. You can have them for reviews, for benchmarks, for tax review. I'm sorry, did I say tax? Star review. And it's probably our favorite department app. We use Kahoot all of the time, but there's more power in Kahoot when you have more builders into the questions. So there's just a thought for Kahoot. Move it beyond an app and use it at school.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, very good suggestions. Okay, Hannah, so I hope that helped with your question. We had a great question from Eric Fannin of Connectors. What is the website for the virtual field trip we discussed earlier in the course? And we had to do some brainstorming on this one, but I think, Denise, you figured out which one he's talking about, right?
I'm not sure if it's the one that he was talking about, to be honest.
Okay.
But if you're interested in virtual field trips, since this question came up, obviously you could just do a Google search, but there's one that I've used for years. In fact, we had a workshop on it at my school, and we did some different things, but Tramline is really excellent, and the only thing you need to keep in mind is just make sure you check all of your links when you do a virtual field trip. I have no idea, Eric, if that answers, but that's the one that consistently comes up. That I've used for years, and they really do maintain that website, and it's really good. I think you could find a lot more besides Tramline. So, and I don't know if he's talking about virtual field trips or if he's talking about. Okay, Meg, pitch in.
Yeah. I think it was virtual field trips, and I came up short. That's why I was asking Denise.
Yeah.
Our partners, yeah. It's like, what was the website? So yeah, that was the thing.
You know, maybe he's asking, Denise, remember your first Hangout that you did? You were talking about connecting with an expert who can take the computer, like via Hangouts, where she could take the actual computer out in the field. Maybe that's what he's referring to. I
Well,
don't
you
know.
can do a virtual. Oh, okay. We did talk about that. I talked about how I have a science expert who couldn't come in this year, but we still want to have her expertise. And
Hmm.
so you can just do a simple iPhone video in the field, and then or you know what I'm saying. You could
Yeah.
connect as a Hangout live anywhere. That is a virtual field trip. You just have to
Yeah.
be careful of content. You might want to record that first to YouTube before you show that to your kids. But definitely peruse all your information before you do a field trip. But we're doing it this year. I just think it opens up a whole new plethora of information that my kids can have because, no one gets to go on field trips anymore. School districts don't allow it. It's too
Hmm.
expensive. And so that's how I'm handling it. So I don't know if that question, you might be shaking your head going, that is not what I was asking. But
That's
Well,
what we
Erin,
know.
follow
what
up
we
with
know.
us, Erin, if you're watching or if you watch the playback. Follow up with us and let us know if that answered your question. But that was a good one. And here's another good one from Carol Dotson of Creators, and she wants to know: is there a way to use your iPhone to upload a photo into Google Docs?
And yes, there is. Okay, and this is just going to sound so easy, but you take the picture and you email it to your Gmail, and when you open it up in Gmail, you can open it up in your Google Doc.
There
And I
you
know
go.
that seems very simple, but you can't. I currently Google Drive is not attached, at least in the iPhone. It may be in another phone, but if you have an iPhone, that would be the quickest way to get it to your Google Drive. And I save all my family pictures in my Google Drive so that I can share them with moms, and it leaves me more space on my phone for apps. So
Yeah, that's a great idea. Very cool. Well, so we had a couple questions about digital citizenship and information literacy from week 4. And Stephanie Winnett had a really good question, and she wanted to know what are some ways you communicate the idea of the digital footprint to your college students. And we have actually 2 really neat strategies, Stephanie. So one is college-wide. So this is a university program, and it's called Cleaning Up Your Digital Dirt. And I'll check with the lady that puts it on. She's actually from our Career Services Department, and I'll see if I can't link to it. But basically, it's a seminar that she does where she shows examples of photos and status updates that she's found of college students, not Tarleton, but of college students that are publicly accessible, that shows that the student didn't know how to set privacy and really didn't know what to post in terms of projecting a professional image. So that's a really great. It's been a successful program for us here at Tarleton for the university. And then just within our teacher education program, we have our pre-service teachers the very first semester that they're in the program do something called a social media audit. And this is where they sit next to someone, we pair them up with someone that they're not friends with on the internet at all, or even don't typically hang out with in person. And we have them each sort of research each other, see what they can find, so that you're sitting next to the person researching you, Googling you, looking for you on Facebook, looking for you on social media, to see what a principal could find if he was really trying to dig, which principals do, and we tell them that principals do. And then we really talk to them about, you're a professional teacher, you're a professional educator from this point forward now that you're in the program, and that's the persona you need to portray online. And so we talk to them early on about it, and then we hit it in every class because it reflects on us as a university as well. So just 2 programs that we do that really kind of make some impact with our college students. So that was a great question, Stephanie. Thank you for that one. And then Colin from Team Innovators wanted to know what are some ideas for reinforcing digital citizenship in the classroom. And we kind of talked about Common Sense Media as a curriculum. And Denise, I know you've had some experience with that if you want to talk about that a little bit.
CommonSenseMedia.org is an organization that is underwritten and funded through many, many top organizations in our country. Millions and millions of dollars are poured into this for cyber safety. What I love is that there's parent access, there's student access, but there's a whole bank for teachers. And I know Colin and everyone in Innovators that I've posted quite a bit about this site this week. There's games in there. For instance, this is how I'm using it. Beginning of the school year, when my kids get their computers and they get their logins, and we start talking about what they can do and what they cannot do with their devices in my classroom and across our team, they're going to need to be trained. We don't just hand them those devices and assume that they know coming in from 4th grade. So we go to CommonSenseMedia.org, and there are specific lessons. I will say it's a little tricky to find, so make sure you go to the educator tab, but when you go in there, you can sign up your entire class under games, and they have to go through a whole sequence of lessons. I make my kids do that before I even let them touch the devices beyond what we're doing with Common Sense Media. It's very much grade level organized, and I can't find a better resource. If there's one out there, I want to know about it. Again, because it's underwritten and it's funded by so many different places, it really has what I feel is the best of the best. So I would start there before I'd start anywhere. So that's just my pitch for that particular organization.
Very cool. You know, and part of, I was really interested in some of the discussion I was seeing last week about information literacy and digital citizenship, and a lot of you posted that really it's sort of a one-time sort of lesson that's done at the beginning of the year, and then it's never talked about in any of the classes after. But I was pleased to see some people say, you know, but I do extension lessons when the kids come back, and it's something that I'm folding in, you know, at least on a weekly basis. And so that was kind of encouraging to see some of the strategies that you guys are using in your schools to make it a conversation, not only with students but with parents and with other colleagues. And I think that's something that's critical, is that it can't just be a one-time lesson. It has to be sort of become part of the culture in your school. So.
Well, and the more our kids use this stuff, you know, it's like, you know, the Google Docs. It's a great suite of tools, but you've got to train them every step of the way. And when it comes back on our kids, it's coming back on us. We have to remember that. We really need, and one thing about commonsensemedia.org, they have all sorts of posters that you can download, that you can even hang in your, you know, your computer workstations. There's infographics. There's all sorts of stuff that really keeps kids in focus with what to do. And then it goes to the more serious end of what happens if your students are cyberbullied, or what happens if you go home. These are links you can share with parents that they can also be looking at home, because this shouldn't just be addressed at home or at school. It should be both ends of the spectrum.
Right, I agree.
So we really have to take a look at the fact it's like putting your kid in a car. They're not just going to get one driving lesson and just get to the Grand Canyon. You've got to give them some help.
I love that analogy. That's a great one.
And I use that next year.
I'll put it on my list for next year.
I wanted to share one thing. One of my students in the Team Connector said this: I must leave the World Wide Web better than I found it every time I log in and every time I log out. And I told him I was feeling that. And I said it's from Eric, and I was like, yep, that goes on my room wall too. So.
That's really good. I like that.
Good.
I do.
Send it out to us. That's good.
Yeah, I just saw too, Jason Stephanie posted that I guess they're talking about Common Sense Media. It's great for auditing literature for inappropriate content. So does Common Sense Media have an element of filtering or anything like that you're aware of, Denise?
As far as you're putting in information and they're filtering it for you?
Yeah. Maybe
I haven't found that. I don't think that would be a filtering.
Yeah, it's more of an awareness kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's more, like I said, it's lesson plans, but it's for the whole spectrum of everything that has to do with digital media. It's not just one thing. It's your digital footprint. It's educators. It's teachers. It's kids.
Right.
And the game, I posted it in my community. I don't remember what the game is called, but oh my gosh, every year I can't wait to play the game. It's so cool. It's just really fun. It's a really neat thing. So I should go to work for them. I know. I'm really.
Yeah, you
website. I'm like, love it. Love it.
Well, definitely, if you don't mind posting that too in the resource cheat sheet, Denise,
Sure.
You can have that there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did start a little late, so I wanted to kind of, and we kind of went over, and I apologize for that, but it's just been such a good conversation. I wanted to end on this note, since this is our last broadcast. I thought this was such a great quote from Laura Bell Gastineau from Knowledge Seekers. And this is what she told me. She said, I feel like I need to go to a deserted island with internet and process all that I've learned. And I thought that was so great, because I do realize, even for me, this has been so fast and furious that you really, like we've said before, take some time to process it, take some time to choose one or two tools and really hone those tools. And it's very easy to get overwhelmed and then just give up completely, and we don't want that. That's not what this course has been about. So I really do hope that you found value in sort of the theory piece of things, as well as the experimenting with tools and how you might apply it. I really do hope you found value in that, and that you'll keep in contact with us and you'll build your personal learning network, and that we can continue working together even after the course is over. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast, and if you happen to email your team lead, be sure and congratulate him or her, your team lead for the graduation ceremony coming up on Saturday.
All hers.
We're all very excited, and we'll be sure to post pictures and tweet those out to the Tarleton OOC hashtag as well. So, all right, with that, I'm going to sign off, and we'll see you guys later. Thanks. Bye.
Okay.